Hello, everyone. Let's give everyone a minute or two before we go today's webinar, and then we are going to go into discussion about print on demand, about PDF files that you're going to be using, about the nuances, about the requirements, about the cost, which is obviously something that comes up a lot. There are a lot of topics that we are going to be discussing today. If you guys have any questions in the meantime, please put them in the chat box and they will be addressed as we move along. Also, if you encounter any challenges with audio or with the video, do let me know and I can make sure that is addressed. So, first of all, I would like to welcome you to another one of our customer success PublishDrive webinars. The idea behind these webinars, and they will continue on monthly basis as they have until now. We won't be having one in December because typically starting from the middle of the year, we would have one last week of every month. But since the end of December is holiday season, a lot of people are going to be focusing on other things. So we won't have a customer success webinar in December. And then after this one, we are going to continue in January. And we are going to continue to discuss topics that come up most often when we received questions from our clients. So, print on demand is a topic that prompts a lot of questions from our clients. So, the questions are typically about uploads, about requirements, about available options, pricing, and similar. So, we are going to be looking at those. So, the specifications and requirements for the file, the process of uploading it, the printing costs, which is the very starting point, and obviously the book review and approval. So when we come to calculating cost, this is often, and why I'm starting with this, because obviously this is something that is going to be very relevant for each publisher or author, and it's going to be your starting point when you are starting the planning of moving to print books. So when it comes to calculating the cost, the printing cost, first of all, it's worth noting that we are using two different vendors for the printing, and you can always choose between the two of them. So we're using Amazon and Ingram. So the printing cost is going to depend on the number of pages your book is going to have. And as a consequence, profit margins are going to vary based on the page count and color preferences. So you are going to, when you're looking at what the earnings at the end of the day are going to be, you're going to be looking at the selling price, obviously distribution cost, which is set by the store, is going to be deduced from the selling price. Then manufacturing cost is going to be deduced, and whatever is left is the author's earning. Also, what I want to bring up, because you're seeing a couple of tables now, and obviously I'm not going to be reading through them, but what's important for you to know is that this information is available in PublishDrive Help Center that you can access from your logins for PublishDrive. Or you can send an email to the support team and ask about these if you ever need this information. It is readily available on PublishDrive Help Center. So specifically looking at the earnings or the print costs for Amazon, you will see that there are two different tables. So we are talking about black and white print or the premium color print, and those costs are going to differ. They are going to be broken depending on the Amazon in question, or rather the specific substore where it's going to be. You will see individual prices for the printing cost. You can see on the screen the cost for Ingram. They do have the costs in dollars, euros, yen, depending on the area where you are. I just have an example here because this is information that is readily available, and it's not something that you would, well, you might eventually know it by heart if you deal with it a lot. but it's something that it's easy to look up whenever. I have just chosen to show the cost of printing for Ingram in the US dollars. You will see that it depends on whether you're using black and white or color and on the size of the trim. Also, one more important thing I want to clarify first of all when it comes to trim sizes. Small trim sizes vary between 4 by 6 inches, which would be 102 millimeters by 152 millimeters. So that would be the smallest one. And the largest one that falls under the small trim sizes would be 6 inches by 9 inches, which is 156 millimeters by 234 millimeters. So there is a huge range between those. So there is a large number of available trim sizes. It's just that for small ones, they vary between these two, and large ones would go between 106.5 by 6.5 inches, which would, in metric, that would be 165 millimeters by 165 millimeters, and 8.5 by 9 inches, which again in metric would be 216 millimeters by 229. So this is the same way as these tables are going to be available through our help center. There is also the list of all the trim sizes available to you in the platform, and which one are small ones, which one are large ones. So that is also available, and the full list is available in the help center. And that is something that I would absolutely encourage you to reference when you are just starting. Also, there is another tool that I am not sure if you have had a chance to see so far in our platform. So you can use it to check the printing cost directly in the platform. You would find this calculator under special services in the menu on your homepage of the PublishDrive by clicking on printing costs from the main menu. Then you will see, I have included the image. You will see that you would just need to input the trim size, the page count, and select the color profile. And the system is going to do the calculation for you. So you don't have to calculate it manually. And this is also something that's available. This is how you would calculate the costs for the printing. Now that brings us to actually submitting the book. So in order to submit the book for the print on demand service, as I mentioned briefly, you need 2 print ready PDF files. So we are talking about the book cover design, and that one encompasses back cover, spine, and the bleed area, and the interior file that comprises all pages of the book. And also choosing the size of your book is going to be very important. This is a little side note because it's going to dictate how the text is going to be distributed across your pages. Now, looking at the upload itself. So when you're going to your books and then select upload book, you will be prompted to choose the print format as opposed to audio, as opposed to ebook. And then you will be prompted to configure the book manufacturing details. So you're going to be uploading the manuscript, which is a content file, and the book cover, which is a cover file. You can, if you want, this is completely optional, upload store-specific covers for Amazon, Ingram, and China print. This is optional. You also have an option to have us create it for you. And then you would need to continue the process the same way you would upload the other books. So you're prompted to provide the details of the book creators, authors, designers, collaborators, depending on your book. You will be prompted to set up the metadata and the description. You will be prompted to select up to the 3 book categories for your book. define the price, specify rights, obviously, and then choose distribution stores and then hit your publish button. So we are going to go, and that is the general overview of how you would submit your book. But I know that's just the very high level overview effectively of what you're going to be doing, because the key part of this is that you want to make sure that your PDF files are fulfilling the requirements for printing. Okay, so let's get into a little bit more details regarding this. So, as I said, you need to upload 2 separate PDF files that are going to be used to print your book. This is the cover, this is the interior and content. One more thing that you want to make sure you have in addition to these files, so you will also need to have an ISBN. Right now, we are unable to distribute print on demand without the ISBN. All the stores require them. One thing that we also are asked frequently is whether PublishDrive provides free ISBNs. Unfortunately, no. You will want to make sure before proceeding with the upload of your paperback that you have an ISBN ready. So when it comes to cover, you need to submit a 1-page PDF file that includes back cover. Barcode on it is optional, but it's frequently seen. Spine, front cover, bleed area, or the trim, as you can see it on the image on the screen. The file type needs to be PDF. Also, we recommend CMYK color space, but we also accept RGB. We recommend 300 dpi image resolution, but we do accept the higher ones as well. It is important to calculate the spine size properly. The spine width is going to depend on the number of pages and the type of print. There is a spine multiplier that can be found in the Help Center, and the spine multiplier is going to be different for black and white versus color, and black and white with white or cream paper. You just want to be mindful of the fact that you want to check that when it comes to the cover file, you want to check the desired spine width. And it's going to depend on the number of the pages, and it's going to depend on the type of print and paper that you are using. So there is one more thing that is a very common stumbling block is size and margins. So going back to the cover, we are going to move to the content file in a second. It's not going to be that complicated, I promise. So when it comes to the cover, it's a 1-page PDF file, which is very important to note. I know I have said it already, but let me say it again. You want to be mindful that you leave a 3 millimeters bleed to all sides. You need to calculate the width properly. So to keep in mind the bleed, the width, the spine, and the width and the bleed. You want to make sure that all the elements are accounted for, and also make sure that you have done the math properly for width and height. That being said, I think we can move to the content. So again, it's really not that very complicated. So you want to make sure that you submit for the content single page PDF, not a spread, not a 2-up. So a single page PDF. Page size and the PDF need to fit the trim size you set in the metadata when you upload the book. All fonts need to be embedded in all PDF files. And you want to make sure that you exclude any crop, any trim marks from the final interior for such content to be printed. So also the content file needs to be at least 24 pages long. And for print books, we need a table contents for all books. Also, you need to make sure margins are a minimal margin of 0.5 inches, which is 13 millimeter from final trim size on the outer side. So for the binding side, you're going to use margins that are going to depend on the page size. Again, this is something that can be found in the Help Center. It's going to depend on the size of the pages and the number of pages. Also, when you're looking at page numbering, all page numbers need to be ordered logically and subsequentially. So even numbers are going to be on the left page, right, odd numbers on the right page. Any gap in the pagination would still need to account for each individual page that exists. So even if the page numbers are not listed on all the pages, they need to make sense. The minimum and maximum page count is going to vary on trim size, paper type, and ink option. Minimum is 24 pages, and then depending on the size, paper type, and ink, it can go up to something like between 600 and 800 pages, again, depending on details of the book. So there are some requirements when it comes to color. So rather the color interior requirements for black and white versus color pages. For black and white, they need to have black and white pages to be true black and white. And we need those images for these books to be saved as either grayscale or single color black, and not registration black, which is made up of other colors. That is the key thing when it comes to black and white. When it comes to color, we recommend using CMYK color space, but we do accept RGB as well. We advise against using spot colors to make sure that the color is actually shown, reproduced correctly. There are two types of paper color that you can select, actually, white or cream. White can be used for both black and white and color printing, but cream can only be used for black and white. You can also select whether you would like your pages to be glossy or matte. So glossy are usually for nonfiction, matte are usually for fiction, but there is no rule. It really depends on your preferences and how you would like to see your book. Also, super important, as with any other book, is the metadata. So you want to be very meticulous about this. So this is something that we have touched base on in the past for the other book formats, but I'm going to reiterate that simply because it is really important. So what are we looking at? The contributors, the title, subtitle, series info, language. Obviously, there are some restrictions regarding language for Amazon. I'm going to get to that in a few minutes. Description, super important. Categories, super important. Whether it's adult content, again, super important. Keywords, target audience, and ISBN. So we absolutely need that. The ISBN needs to be valid, and the other identifiers will be rejected because all print book distributors handle ISBNs exclusively. So a single individual ISBN can be submitted only once by one provider. You can't reuse it. An example of a question that we might receive is, okay, I have this print book on Ingram, say I want to revoke my book from there, and then I want to publish the same book through PublishDrive, so I can go to all the different vendors that are available. The same book, the same title is re-uploaded through PublishDrive. It would need a new ISBN. So the other way around works as well. So if you have an ISBN and you use it now with PublishDrive, you cannot reuse it for later submission by other provider. So for example, a KDP. One more thing that you want to exclude when it comes to book descriptions, since I was talking about the metadata in a second, because we see that, I know it's a little bit out of context of the whole story, but please make sure when it comes to your book description, please avoid special characters and non-printable white spaces, because that is going to affect the printing, and it can affect it in sometimes unpredictable ways. So if you copy paste your description, use the paste as plain text and then format the text in the editor. That's going to make sure that there are no issues there and no need to reprint anything. One more thing I didn't mention about the trim size. We support a large number of different trim sizes. The full list is available in the Help Center, but they vary greatly from 4 by 6 inches to 8.5 by 9 inches. And there are like 30 something options. So I mentioned that Amazon accepts book only in specific languages. So there is a full list. So there is nothing potential about that. There is a full list, and it's actually not a long list. I'm not going to go through the entire list, but there is a number of European languages, several ones that you will find in the Americas, and a few languages that are prominent in Asia and Africa. But when it comes to specifically Amazon, there are going to be language limitations. I think there is something like between 30 and 40 languages that are available. You can check that or reach out to our support team, and our support team can confirm whether the books in that language can be distributed across the board through Amazon. Also, one more thing that you want to be mindful of is that we don't currently support hardback. So we currently only support the soft cover. Also, I mentioned already the prices, but when you're setting up a price, our system is automatically going to calculate the minimum price for the books, and you will be required to list the price that is at least going to match it in order to avoid negative royalties. If we are looking at the print book, there will be a minimum, and that minimum is going to depend on the book itself, on the size, on the number of pages, on the number of pages, and on the color. So after you submit the book to the platform, PublishDrive staff performs technical checks, so the book review on the metadata and on the work files. If any issue pops up, and that issue can be regarding any of the individual topics I have brought up in today's conversation. So PublishDrive is going to notify the customer, and we're going to give details about the nature of the issues and which steps need to be taken. So you need to update your trim size, you need to update the margins, we don't support that language, or whatever it is, you're going to receive a notification about what it is regarding. In some specific files, the PublishDrive may fix the files on its own. It doesn't really happen often, but if it does, the person who is going to review the book may fix it. It's also worth noting that this doesn't apply only to print books, but there are two layers of book review. There is the one that is performed by a system, and then there is one that is the first layer, and then the second one is being conducted by an actual. So you will receive the email that there is an issue, and you will be given details about. And then after you fix it, you need to re-upload the book into the platform. So once it's re-uploaded, the book is going to go under review again. And once it passes the review, the actual distribution can then start. So what is being checked? That's what I realized I didn't mention. So there is automatic and manual review. We are going to check if there's direct store links, freely available content, among others. And we are also going to check if the books is already available in the stores where you're trying to publish it. Typically, the processing doesn't take longer than 48 to 72 hours, 2 to 3 business days, not counting the holidays and the weekends. And also, one more thing that can be confusing for sometimes when we complete the review, we will ask for the approval with the generated cover files with the barcode placement. So that is going to be the difference. That's why we are asking you to approve the cover. Once you click approve, it is automatically going to be sent to the stores. That is pretty much the process of uploading the PDF books, being mindful that the PDF file is matching the requirements. The requirements, as I said, can be found in the Help Center. If you can't find them yourself, you are more than welcome to send an email to the support team. And they will send you would do that through email at support@publishdrive.com, and they can point you in the right direction. They can confirm if you have the correct data for your PDF files. That actually concludes what we have planned for today. Let me just check the chat for questions. Samuel, I'm sorry about your connection. I hope you were able to catch most of the webinar. That being said, everyone who signed up will receive a link with the recording. So you will be able to reference, even those who were unable to attend but did register will receive the recording of the video. All of our webinars are being recorded and will remain available for the users who subscribed. So, Samuel, in order to sign up, you would go to our website, PublishDrive.com, and sign up there. If you are not able, feel free to reach out. I don't see any other questions. So, as I said, moving forward, if you do have questions, if you do have comments, feel free to utilize the chatbot that we have available, or if you have a specific issue, we have a support team who can assist when you encounter issues or you just have questions about finding some information specifically. So be that about the print on demand books or other portions of the publishing process. We do have actual people you can reach out to. We don't have phone support, we have email support. So thank you everyone for joining us today. Our next webinar is going to be in January, but tomorrow, I believe, at the same time, a couple of my colleagues are going to be discussing a new feature, which is a cover creator, which has just been released. So feel free to join that. It's also available to register. You have also received the emails regarding that, and that is going to make also one portion of the process easier. I appreciate everyone joining. Have a lovely rest of the day, and I hope to see you on the following webinars. Happy publishing. Goodbye.